That's an actual word I just made up. It's great to see you again. It's February. The year is already flying by. And guess who we have on a very special episode of the Decentralized Underground Headquarters? It's Mr. Lorimer Jenkins. Lorimer, how you doing, bro?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. I'm pretty good. And I would be remiss if I didn't say hello to my trusty co-host, Johnny. Johnny, what's shaking, bacon?
Serving some data, my man. History being made every day.
All right, I like it. Yeah, man. And of course, Jaja's too cool for school. Actually, Jaja's coming to New York because for you real AO heads out there, you'll know that the AO mainnet 1 year anniversary is coming up on Sunday. So we're gonna have a little small get together, nothing like last year, but there's some folks getting together. But I wanted to get on Lorimer today's show because I keep hearing that Liquid Ops is making moves. That Lorimer has got some super cool and exciting news. So, all right, I'm game, Lorimer. Actually, before we do that, just give me that 60-second what is Liquid Ops for the people who are new and turning in? What is it generally doing? And then you know what? Let's get to that cool and exciting news you've got.
Awesome, cool. Yeah, thanks very much for having me on, by the way. So LiquidOps is a lending and borrowing protocol built on Arweave and AO. Kind of what our mission is to really utilize there's lots of liquidity in this ecosystem that's kind of locked. Like if you look at the AO market cap, you look at the Arweave market cap, it's hundreds of millions of dollars, literally. At its peak, it was, billions. So essentially, what our mission is to really put that liquidity to use. If you kind of look in other ecosystems like Ethereum and Solana, you have DeFi products like yield farming, where you can essentially borrow against, say, like Ethereum, borrow USDC, and then plug that USDC into, say, a kind of vault on Solana, for example, and then generate yield from it. So we essentially saw an opportunity to do that in this ecosystem. And yeah, we've been building for I think coming up to 2 years. And yeah.
Super cool, man. I got all sorts of questions for you that we can tackle after the announcement, as to how you got into this very cool and interesting area. But shoot, let's stop teasing everyone. What's on your mind, Lorimer? Got anything new to share with the world?
Yeah, so it's been a crazy 6 months. A lot has happened, but yeah, one really exciting piece of information that I'm really happy to share today is that LiquidOps is going to be acquiring Astro USD. So the beloved stablecoin of the ecosystem USDA is now going to be under the roof of kind of Liquid Labs, which is the software studio behind LiquidOps, and me and Kadar are coming together to build alongside each other. It's always been happening, and now we've kind of made the decision to do it under one entity.
Big time. I was looking to see if I couldn't generate some sort of like emoji waterfall coming up on the screen here. No such luck, but that is really huge. So, why did this acquisition make sense for both parties? Like, what were you thinking? What are the benefits here?
Yeah, so I've known Kadar now for a really long time. I knew Kadar actually before Arweave and AO. He's the founder of Astro. We actually met at a picnic. I hosted like this kind of polka dot picnic in London in COVID. We did it outside because you weren't allowed in it, like to do anything inside at the time. And so loads of people came. We were super lucky, and one of the people that came was Kadar, and we actually ended up co-hosting a few events together after that. And yeah, we essentially just became quite close friends. And then I was working at Community Labs as a fellow, building a project called Othen. And Kadar came in, and actually, yeah, he was looking to build, and so Tate, yeah, brought him in as a fellow. So we always worked together alongside each other as fellows. Yeah, he basically came up with the idea for Astro. And I just remember, like, I was always in the meetings about like, yeah, him ideating on it before it was called Astro. It was called like Lotus. So I remember those days as well. And yeah, we kind of always bounced off each other, even when we went through AO Ventures together. So I came up with the idea for Liquid Ops with my co-founder Martin, and then we always just kind of spoke like a lot because they're both DeFi projects.
Hmm.
We're doing over collateralized lending. He was doing over collateralized stable coins, we always just kind of like linked up on a lot of stuff on audits. And then, but obviously when we both spun out of Community Labs, we actually raised from the same investors, as well as I'm an investor in his company. He's an investor in ours, in the studios behind the actual projects themselves. So it kind of just made a lot of sense. And yeah, I think like we went one period where we just spoke every day for like a month or something, and then I was visiting Tate in the US, and it kind of just came up, and I just got on the call with Kadar and was like, hey man, like we're spending a lot of money on, you know, things like lawyers, things like accountants, like marketing teams, and it kind of just seems like whenever we do something, we always do it together. We could like save a really large amount of money, have that money allocated to spending on things that actually matter, like more developers, for example, like extend the runway, you know, better kind of, yeah, just kind of share like these resources instead of having to pay for them twice. I can't tell you how much money we've spent on legal, and it could have been just so much cheaper if we were together. So it just kind of made a lot of sense, as well as with our users. Our users like are kind of the same user. You know, we're both building in the AO ecosystem. So yeah, that's kind of really how it came about.
Well,
And stable coins tend to have a little bit of crossover into like yield a lot of times, don't they? So it kind of makes sense for you to handle that.
Yeah, we so Kadar actually oh God, I've got to be very careful not to leak future product announcements, but I don't mind saying this one. But
See that? I'm
basically,
already segueing into alpha.
I know. No, you just brought up future product announcements. Now you've got my attention. What's up, man?
well, we I don't mind saying this one. It's just kind of been in the works for a while. But like, for example, one thing that me and Kadar were working on before we actually decided we were gonna join forces is essentially a yield bearing stablecoin. So essentially, like you could have like you know, Astro USDA and then earn a yield just by holding it. Like, you know, the kind of stablecoin model at the moment in centralized models with like Tether, for example, essentially Tether has like a really big bank account of dollars, and then essentially their business model is earning, you know, like I think I'm pretty sure they buy treasury bills with it, and then they earn the yield off of that money in the bank account, and they just print money, and then all of like the users that obviously you know have Tether, for example, USDT, they don't ever see any of those funds. So what the kind of idea is like decentralize that process. Instead of it's under like a centralized company making all of this money, you could essentially have a decentralized over collateralized stablecoin that pass the yield back to the user. That's just like a product idea that like we're kind of ideating on at the minute. We're not saying we're going to do it, but essentially that is one of the things we could build if we had LiquidOps and Astro together under the same kind of like our two teams would come together, so it's not even under anything, it's just the same team, and then we can have those crossovers. So Kadar's really focused on like the stablecoin side of things, and then obviously we're a lending protocol, so we enable our users to earn yield. Like it just it's like instead of working together with a partnership, it just makes so much more sense to do it together.
100%. What if you're out there listening to this right now, and you were just like a regular AO user, what opportunities do you see for them to get involved in Liquid Ops and or Astro USDA right now?
Yeah, I think right now would be to try and use like the protocols as they are now. So we you know, we have LiquidOps live right now in mainnet. Astro is also live, so you can use both of those products now as you have been for the past year or so. But essentially, what we're focused on right now is kind of building on what we've already built and bridging it onto Hyperbeam, and making some of these new exciting projects. So we have obviously Astro USDA and then also LiquidOps, but over the coming months we are going to be starting to release more products that are kind of intertwined. Like the way I'm kind of thinking of it is like a full stack DeFi suite for AO. So kind of think, instead of having to go to multiple different websites, you would have access to bridging, you'd have access to stablecoins, you've have access to lending, all within the same UI, instead of instead of having to go to different websites. Like I remember there was a really big kind of thing about I don't remember when, it was about 9 months ago, but it was a user was really sad about basically him not knowing that there was lots of different bridges,
Mm.
and he didn't know that you could basically use AOX. He didn't know you could use like Vento, and so I remember replying and just being like, "Dude, you just need to check this out. Like, everything's
Mm.
here." And he was just like, he just didn't know. So having everything underneath the one kind of shell is something that we're going to be working on as well.
Let's I'm kind of curious about a comment you made at the beginning of the live stream when you were saying that when going back to when you first came into the ecosystem, you saw like a bunch of idle capital lying
Yeah.
around here. Help me, I'm not a big finance guy. I'm what are you talking about specifically, and how are you helping with that?
Yeah, so let's kind of make it super simple. So within Arweave and AO, you obviously have the AR token, for example,
Mhm.
which is used to pay for storage, for permanent data storage. So essentially, there is, yeah, I think at the time there was $400 million in this token value, and
Uh-huh.
so lots of people had large amounts of Arweave, and they kind of were sitting there thinking, what can I do with this is like a financial primitive instead of
Uh-huh.
just thinking about paying for storage. So like
Uh-huh.
lots of like I like Oreo are kind of doing something at the minute where it's kind of like storage credits, like you have something in the normal traditional world called carbon credits, where you can
Mhm.
basically like kind of it's like buying the kind of way to think it is you're kind of buying like better, like, you know how trees produce carbon, you can basically have like some sort of financial product where you can purchase a carbon credit. So
Mhm.
it's kind of like CO2 emissions, so in the future, like you can use it to reduce the carbon footprint. So
Mhm.
it's kind of
Mhm.
the same with storage. So you can buy like a storage credit, and then the kind of whole idea is in 10 years time, this storage credit will be worth more money because the like the cost to store data would be a lot more. Actually, no, it's completely the other way around. The storage decline obviously goes down. So if you hold Arweave, the whole idea is the token value goes up in dollar terms, but the
Mhm.
purchasing power of that storage goes up. So basically, we saw lots and lots of like yeah, market cap potential in the token that we could actually use in financial primitives, as in borrowing and lending. So we kind of like, I've not done this down at all. I've made it super complex. I'm sorry, but basically, yeah, we saw lots of liquidity in the Arweave token and realized that like lots of companies, for example, were thinking about, yeah, this kind of carbon credit, storage credit thing. They want to hold it for a long period of time, and so we could basically offer them a way to obviously earn interest on those actual storage credits instead of them basically just sitting there. So yeah, you could have like
Okay,
5%.
so I'm beginning to get that. So like
Yeah,
basically like, hey, I bought R because in 10 years time, either I'm gonna use it myself or other people will be like clamoring for it. But 10 years is a long time. And meanwhile, it's not doing anything for me. It's just sitting in my wallet. It's not like earning
exactly. Yeah.
anything. I mean, yeah, I'm subject to the fluctuations of the market, but it's not like actively differentiating itself. So I could give it to my friend Lorimer over here, and he could go and LiquidOps could lend it out to someone, and I could collect some yield from that. And then when it's time, when I say, okay, I want this back, you gotta, I basically get interest from you while you take my R and do whatever with it. But at this point, I get it back. Is that right?
Exactly. So it's basically, yeah, it's kind of being able to earn, much like a bank account. You kind of, well, you used to be able to do this. Now the interest rate is nothing, but it used to be able to give your money to the bank, and then the bank would obviously give you a good return for holding your money, and then you'd have more. So it's kind of the same, but with permanent data storage.
Who are your customers? I'm actually kind of curious. This is actually the more I think about this, the more interesting. So like, say I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go sign on to LiquidOps,
Yeah.
gonna lend out Arweave. Who's the customer? Is it just other people, or is it like institutions, like, or like one? But
Mhm.
institution, I mean like dexes and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a good question. So we've actually kind of changed focus on customer acquisition recently, but it used to be consumers. So we used to like kind of cater to the kind of just normal crypto consumers that kind of use, crypto Twitter, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when we launched the waitlist for LiquidOps, essentially we came out with this kind of pitch and said, yeah, there's so much liquidity that's untapped. We can basically utilize that, and we launched
Mm-hmm.
a waitlist, and that waitlist basically went up to $55 million for people saying that they were going to sign up to LiquidOps and obviously utilize it. And so we had the kind of validation with consumers. So we obviously launched LiquidOps, and basically struggled to build TVL with like everyday DeFi consumers that held Arweave. So like we're kind of thinking about switching focus, like in the near recent future actually. So essentially, instead of kind of catering towards these people that just hold Arweave speculatively, we also want to now piggyback off like I kind of said with corporations kind of thinking about buying Arweave as a hedge against permanent data storage, like because the Arweave token actually has like usability, and it's not just a kind of like pump token that you obviously are just trying to make money out of. If we effectively offer a yield on Arweave tokens, we're not offering a yield in dollars, which we are, but we're also offering a yield in more credits to store permanent data. So you can basically cater, like our customers could be, instead of people like lending this out, you basically have a platform where you can deposit Arweave in, as a corporation, kind of like a wallet, and then you can upload data through this kind of portal, and then you can have access to like a stable coin through the portal. That's kind of where we're thinking about going next, but at the minute, we are kind of working this out with Astro. There's lots that we just have lots of ideas, and I think one thing that we're trying to do at the moment is like trying to trim that down. I think a big thing we learned with building the two projects is simple is better. So yeah, we have these grand ideas of like, yeah, we want to go after this customer, we want to go after this customer, but at the minute we're just trying to think of like a magic product that yeah will kind of get us there.
No, you actually kind of guessed what my follow-up question was going to be, because you've got not only experience with Astro and LiquidOps, you were, remind me of your connection to Othent Wallet. Did you make it, or were you just like part of the team? I forget which one.
Yeah, so I founded Othen in Community Labs. So Community Labs is a Arweave Venture Studio. So the whole kind of concept is you take fellows in, they build up
Mm-hmm.
projects in the company, and then essentially spin out, which is kind of a similar model of what we're trying to do with Liquid Labs
Mm-hmm.
at the moment with Astro. So yeah, I what was I even doing before that? I was building a project in Polkadot, and then basically met Tate. Yeah, it's a good time. So the first time I met him, I stayed in a youth hostel in London. It was just hilarious. It's like a like like
Wait,
on
what?
Hyde Park.
Wait, was Tate in the youth
No,
hostel? Was he?
basically I was kind of in Polkadot, like, and Tate had was building Verto at the time, and Tate was getting great metrics, and my project in Polkadot, it was good, but it just didn't have many users. So I was like to Tate, what am I doing wrong? And then he was kind of in London, where I'm from, and at the time, like, I was trying to save on Runway. So I just remember the first time I met him. Yeah, I went down to London and stayed in a youth hostel. It's like an 8-person dorm, and yeah, it was just really funny
Did
times.
you have the meeting with Tate in the hostel?
No, I was like, we
All
went
right,
to
all
a
right.
restaurant, but yeah, I was
Just
like,
saying, meet me down by the sewer grate number 3 around the corner. I'll be waiting for you. I like it. I like it.
yeah,
Um,
it's good times.
Johnny, weren't you really into Polkadot too before you came into Arweave? What the hell's going on here? You
Yeah,
still have like
actually,
admin access to like a massive Facebook group, right?
Wow.
yeah, 90,000 people. I own that group actually. Polkadot was kind of a weird one because I started in Polkadot and then I went through Sarcophagus. I was one of their ambassadors and did a lot of outreach and stuff for a while. But things just got like weirdly quiet with Polkadot. Like things just kind of started to get really quiet, and then like the community started to get a little bit rumbly, and then I ended up going to Sarcophagus, and the Polkadot crowd just kind of seemed to slowly wane out over time. Like it started really hot, like that. Like I said, that group hit 90,000 people in less than a year,
Wow.
and it blew up. It was what everybody was kind of diving into, and but that was kind of my onboarding, because they're a sort of DAO. And they have a lot of the decentralized ethos, and they're built on the same tech stack. So yeah, that was my intro to crypto. Really was Polkadot.
Dude, I keep telling Johnny, just switch. You still have the admin access. Just switch it to an Arweave Facebook
Yeah.
group. What are they gonna do? Fight us, Polkadot people. What are you gonna do? Um,
I'm
uh,
tempted to. I don't think
yeah,
anybody would notice.
yeah. Point at me. What are you gonna do, Polkadotters? Anyways, so I was curious though. So you've been with Othan. Othan actually, if I recall, it recently just sunsetted. You got LiquidOps. What's sort of the key? I mean, I guess you could say founder in general. And I'm also curious if there's anything particularly unique about our space that like you keep in mind as you go forward.
Yeah, so Othen actually, yeah, it didn't sunset. It actually, it was acquired by Wonder. So
Was it?
Wonder
Oh,
is,
okay, my bad.
yeah, no, it's all right. Wonder basically, it launched a product called Wonder Connect, and so that basically is Othen. So you actually can still log into an Arweave application with a Google and Twitter account. It's just like it was just a really annoying thing because like we were kind of competing with Wonder for users because they're
Mm,
both kind of wallets and it's like it's under the
mm.
same company. It just didn't make any sense. So basically, yeah, Othen became Wonder Connect. So yeah, I mean, this ecosystem, I've been in it for a long time now. I can't remember. I remember like when I first got involved with Arweave, I was kind of just coming out of like the Smart Weave days, and then they launched Warp. The Redstone team launched Warp, and
Mm.
that's where I actually initially built basically Othen. I kind of came into the ecosystem through community labs, mainly as I really was like kind of jamming back in the day with Tay on product ideas. And so I kind of stumbled into it. And yeah, like I haven't left since. I really like this ecosystem. Like I kind of like that if you go to, I'm sure Johnny knows a lot about this, you know, you go into Polkadot, it's a very different vibe. You know, you kind of like there is a kind of spectrum of like crypto madness and like I think this ecosystem has got that. If you want to, I know Johnny loves his tuxedo that I see him proudly wearing sometimes, which I like. But if you go into Polkadot, you kind of have too much of the people that kind of just buy the token and kind of not do anything with the tech. Like there is great tech in
Wait,
Polkadot.
move.
I remember back in the day there was just really good tech, but here like it's kind of a nice balance of like people are fun and stuff like that. But they're builders. Like everyone here's a builder. It's not just people having fun. I could tell you some funny stories about the Polkadot events. But definitely times have changed, and I think Arweave and AO is a really good place to build. It's a kind of good place in terms of like support as well as there's a good ecosystem and there's a really good like kind of moral fiber that holds the ecosystem together even in tough times, which is really important to have. It's like the idea of permanent storage, like I think just really ties the ecosystem together rather than some ecosystems that just kind of kind of centered around the token.
100%, 100%. Um, and what, speaking of your journey here, were you studying theater? Did I read that right? When you
Yeah,
were like,
this
when you
was a
met
long
Tate,
time ago. Yeah, this was a long
was that
time ago.
around when you were meeting Tate, or was that even before that?
It was a long time before that, but I basically I came into the world of work a weird way. I before my first job was actually working at a VC. I worked at a crypto VC, which was it was based in New York, but because it was COVID, everyone switched to online. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just emailed like 500 companies and was like, I'm Lorimer. Can I have an internship? I work harder than anyone, and it actually worked. So I got it from like a Gary V short back in the day. And yeah, I kind of worked there and just I liked being a VC, but like I just realized that I want to build. Like I couldn't code, so I taught myself to code in the VC, and then yeah, we were investing a lot into Polkadot, and so I kind of built up a network that way. But yeah, before the VC, I was at musical theatre school and then dropped out, and that was like I think I was in 2021. And yeah, I got into crypto in 2014. I was really young. My dad used to mine Bitcoin, so I kind of knew about it as well. But I just yeah like didn't want to do it in college, and then realized I just didn't want to do college, and then was like, you know what, let's just try it in crypto, and yeah, I kind of didn't look back.
What acting tips do you still remember when you have to go give like a talk now? Like, hey, I'm from Liquid Ops. Do you still have any like old acting teacher tips come into your mind, or is it all gone by now?
Well, I honestly, I'm going through the same thing at the minute. Like basically everyone's switching over to kind of content now. And so I'm trying to, I don't know if you've seen my cringe clips, but
I
I'm
have
trying to,
seen them.
but I'm trying to get into it. So like, Tate's Instagram is taking off at the minute. He's got like
Oh no,
25K.
bro. Hey,
Yeah,
instant legend.
I know. So I'm trying to get into the mojo as well. So yeah, like in response to your question, like I forgot it for a long time, but I'm kind of now getting back into it. Like you were a master actually Drew at this. I remember when we were in Denver and you were doing a speech. You hosted the whole thing, didn't you,
No,
on the
no,
East Denver?
no. You just have to make your mind go blank, bro. Like
Yeah.
that's what everyone was like. How do you think of it? It's like I'm not thinking of anything. I'm just up there having a damn great old time.
That's what I need. I think I have the acting down, but I just need to get over the stage fright. So yeah, now I'm kind of used to it, but in person I'm trying to definitely get better with the acting. But it comes in handy now and again. I think the best part of having a kind of acting background is like really when you're on discovery calls with like kind of new people, because you know sometimes I have to go on a call with like an investor. Nowadays I haven't actually had a call with an investor for a really long time. Now we do fair launches, like that's one big thing, but we actually raised money before the fair launch was even a thing.
Mm.
Otherwise we wouldn't have raised venture. But like, you know, whenever I would have to call with an investor, it's like if you have those acting skills, like you can kind of relate to people a lot more, I think. And I think that's mainly just because like as humans we're really opinionated. So for example, if you get an investor that's just invested a load of money in Polkadot, for example, they're now really opinionated that Polkadot is good. So anytime you try pitch Arweave and AO to them, they're like, oh well, Polkadot does this. It's not, they haven't said this, but they, you know, if they did, they're like, Polkadot's this, Polkadot's better, why is it better? And so you can kind of like have that like chill kind of acting head and being like, let me try and kind of reason with this guy, and if you can't reason with him you can always pretend. but yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. I love the art of back and forth business discussions. Like one thing I found is that surfing terms are fantastic because they A, indicate excitement, but B, you're saying nothing. So you'll always see me be like, right on, man. What did I say? I didn't agree to anything, but it's just like a nice way to keep yourself from having to commit. Like, right on, gnarly, dude. And then
Interesting.
it's a very nice way to keep the conversation going, but you're not committing to anything. You're not saying yes or no.
Yeah, you know, I definitely, yeah. I think these days I'm actually trying to have less calls. That's one thing I when we first were doing like LiquidOps, like I used to spend a really large amount of my time on calls. Like I remember I used to have these 4 hour call blocks. And so now I'm trying to get it down. Like this is the first call I've had in a while if it hasn't been with like developers or the team, but usually we just do huddles if we do have a call. But yeah, like the corporate culture is very strange, but I think I'm trying to do less of that now and really more focus on like really just customer acquisition and marketing and like product these days. I think a lot of people they just don't have time for it, and that's mainly just because they spend so long talking in calls. But it's definitely comes in handy. That's funny about the gnarly stuff.
Well, speaking about doing calls and where you are right now, we were talking before we went live about how you've been a little bit of having some wanderlust lately. You're from London, you're recently in San Francisco. I'm pretty sure I saw you in like Austin at one point.
Yeah.
Um, what are you finding about the different business cultures? Are you kind of gleaning anything along your way? Like what's coming to mind for inspiration there?
It's a good question. I like So a long time I lived in Cambridge, and kind of my whole thesis of living in Cambridge when I was working at community labs and a little bit with LiquidOps was kind of like I'll be able to mix and have really good conversations with like students there and kind of get involved with the blockchain club, and I did, but it just felt that like I was just spending all of my time with people who were learning about business but not actually doing it. Like, and I met some really cool people, and you know, just really good, but I just remember it was really learning. And so then I basically realized, and I kind of spoke to a few people, that a large amount of my money each month was going on rent, And I was like, I'm spending so much money to live in Cambridge, and I'm spending most of my time talking to the same people. I need to start hustling more. Like as a founder, like the whole idea is you shouldn't be sitting there in Cambridge kind of lording it up with students. You should be really out in different economies, hustling, trying to find users, trying to talk to people. So that's the change I made, and I gave up my flat, and yeah, I went out to Barcelona for a while. Kind of wanted to see what the business world was like there, and it was actually a lot cheaper than staying in Cambridge, which was good, trying to conserve runway at the time. So I stayed in Barcelona, and then yeah, kind of the startup ecosystem of Barcelona is great, but in London, the ecosystem is kind of like, it's very like kind of insurance brokers. So if you go to a crypto meetup in London, everyone's going to be wearing a suit, and everyone's going to be trying to talk to you as like a kind of institution. So I was really used to that and always really be pushed out of that, because obviously I'm not an institution, I'm building a startup. So I went to Barcelona, and that was a breath of fresh air. And then like, you know, I spoke to a lot of builders on the ground, and that was good. Then I went to Lisbon and visited the Vela Ventures team, because they're based in Lisbon. And yeah, the Lisbon ecosystem is like kind of, it's good, but it's kind of not for me. I think like the Lisbon culture is very laid back, and I think when you're trying to build like a project or a business, you kind of don't want to be laid back. You want to be fighting. Like so I kind of made the decision to yeah. Tate lives in Austin, and he was like, oh, Lorimer, you know, you can stay on my sofa. So I was like, okay, great. So I flew out to Austin and stayed on Tate's sofa, and that was good. And yeah, like in Austin, you kind of get the crazy Texas culture vibe, and I really like that. Yeah. So that's good. And then I went to San Fran, and that's just like for me, I think San Fran's like I was saying before the call, you know, you kind of get the startups that are really, really hungry, and because rent's so expensive in San Fran, you kind of have to work for it, and food is ridiculously expensive. And the thing about San Fran is like you can only really stay in the top half of the city. Mainly just like it's some really rough parts in San Fran, so you have to be really careful where you stay. And so you usually end up renting a room, and that just makes you more hungry. And then you kind of have, so you have like the intense pressure of trying to make money and to afford to live in San Fran. Then you have access to all of the Silicon Valley VCs, and like the San Fran is just used to it. Like they're kind of like, everyone there is like, oh, you work in tech, you're a young guy. Like even when I get in an Uber, and I just kind of feel that like in London, I never got that. I always felt like kind of pushed out in London. It was just kind of a bit of a weirdo. But in San Fran, it's like it's just totally different. So like if I was to grade it, it's been really good traveling around, but I'm kind of realizing now that like San Fran is probably the best place for me. I think there's obviously loads of people in San Francisco like building centralized companies, and I just think that like, you know, even though the ecosystem out there is really centralized and kind of poo-poos a bit on crypto, like it is really good to build in San Fran, mainly just because like of those things, as well as the culture, and you're kind of just more hungry than if you're in Europe. It's a little bit more laid back, but there's nothing wrong with that if you're driven. But for me, it's like I need the pressure, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it was the Goldilocks and the Three Bears. It was London was a little too stiff for your taste. The Iberian Peninsula a little bit too laid back. Austin, don't even get me started. What the fuck's going on in Texas? And then you got San Francisco, which is yeah, I love it. It's a little hilly. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, you're like looking on the Google Maps, so you're not really paying attention to the terrain. You're like, oh, this will be an easy walk, and you're like, what the fuck? And it's like this massive hill and staring in front of you.
Yeah, 100%. I remember I was have to go out for a haircut. I'd have to travel across 3 hills. But I was Waymoing. That was amazing. I've never been in a Waymo before. I know you have them in Austin, but in San Fran, like I just remember the first time getting in a Waymo, and it was just magical. Going in these really steep hills, and like there's no one there. It was a really good time. But yeah, it's like, because if you can't tell by my accent, obviously from the UK. So I'm working on the visa case at the moment to get back out. It's just like when I was in San Fran, I had to rent like Airbnbs and that sort of thing, and it's just so expensive. Not because they're good places, just because Airbnb takes a load of the money. So yeah, I'm trying to work on that, and then hopefully I'll be back out. But I do like traveling. It's just it's like, God, staying in Portuguese Airbnbs, it's
Wow,
you
not good.
It's like, well, in my price point, like you kind of, I remember I got locked in an Airbnb one night. Like I couldn't open the door.
Locked in or locked out?
In. I was locked
You
in
couldn't
the
get
foyer.
outside of the Airbnb.
Yeah, I was locked in. I couldn't figure it
Welcome to the
out. I had
Hotel
to climb out the
Portugal.
window.
So
Sorry.
what did you do? You had to climb out the window?
Yeah, I had to climb out the window. Like I've got so many stories. When I was in Barcelona, I was staying on like, because I need to be. This is like the cheap places you can only really travel about if like you can kind of afford to do it. So I was having to do everything on the cheap, and basically, I was in Barcelona. I had to stay on like, I think it was the 6th floor, and there was no lift. So every morning I would have to go up and down the stairs, and it's just like I've got incredible calves now.
You
But
do.
yeah,
You get the most amazing cardio. You can start just like walking around half the city, no problem.
the problem was shopping. That was the issue. So and it
Oh,
was just
dude,
me.
you got the
Yeah.
grocery bags, and you're going up Six Flags and or six floors, and your shoulders are just burning. Yeah, I've been there, bro.
Yeah, and you had to do mineral water as well because you can't drink out the tap. So yeah, it
Really?
was a fun. Well, I don't know. I was advised to, but I was staying in it was nice. But the European builds, like the thing about Europe is they build a building 200 years ago, and then everyone
Nah,
just stays in that
you're not
building.
really sure. Yeah.
But it was a good experience. But now I'm kind of like, I feel like I've now done the traveling. I kind of now just am like, okay, let's just go to the best place. And I mean, I think that's for me. Like, I think everyone has a different best place. It's like if I was building like a pension app, like London would be great. But like, as I'm not, I'm kind of very early stage and like trying to really push boundaries with, like the whole ecosystem is, we're trying to do something that hasn't been done before, a permanent data layer that you can have compute on. Like it's a really ambitious idea. And I think you kind of need to either be in an environment like where things are like very chill. Like in Berlin, things are very lax. Like whenever I go to the Arweave conferences, they're usually in Berlin, and things are very like kind of chill and a bit edgy, and so you kind of can get away with like these really ambitious ideas. But if you're in London, yeah, it's very different. So San Fran's a good place for very ambitious ideas and people who will be like, okay, let's go.
God, I've never been to London. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not. My appetite is not increasing.
It's just
Bunch
not
of
for startups.
bunch of dudes in suits is what I'm getting. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Is New York
yeah.
any different? I guess not.
New York,
Um,
you get a bit of both, but yeah, London's just the suits.
all right. Well, Mr. Lorimer, congratulations once again on the Astro USD acquisition. Big moves coming. I heard the mention of products coming down the line, so keep us in mind. The next time you got some more announcements, give us a holler.
100%, and hopefully, yeah, we'll have I'm working on like at the minute with Liquid Labs, we're kind of going really aggressive into like acquiring things, to be honest with you. So we've actually just we're working on a deal, well, 2 deals at the minute to kind of bring everything together. So we're again realizing that like loads of these projects, like the biggest drain is like I said at the start, like legal, accounting, and having the same person in each kind of company. So what we're trying to do now is really consolidate and yeah, kind of everyone be under the same roof, in our niche, at least with like the software development company. Like the software development company is separate to like LiquidOps and Astro. They're both decentralized protocols that actually anyone can contribute to. LiquidOps has been open source now for a long time, so we welcome any PRs or anything like that, or any other builders. But at least with Liquid Labs, the software development company, we're trying to kind of attract as many builders as possible. So yeah, if you're listening and you have a project and you're struggling at the minute with whether that's funding, whether that's like BD, anything like that, I'd love to speak to you. As yeah, we're going really aggressive at the minute with trying to acquire as many good builds as possible.
I was neglecting that. Where should people go? Like, what's your Telegram? Give me some handles here. Give me some websites. Where should people go?
Yeah, sure. Probably best place to reach me personally is you just go on my X, and then I have my website link. It's lorimerjenkins.com. So yeah, if you just go to lorimerjenkins.com, you can kind of see who I am and what I do. And then if you want to reach out to LiquidOps, you just go to LiquidOps Twitter. We have a website. Same with Astro. But if you want to talk to me personally, I just go to lorimerjenkins.com, and yeah, you'll be able to reach me there.
Lorimer, making moves. Everyone, I appreciate you tuning in. Johnny and Lorimer, best, especially Lorimer. Can't wait to see you again, man. This is really cool stuff.
Cool. Thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you. See you guys.